Hey, coaches out there in podcast land. We are back for another deep dive. You know how we do it around here. We pick a book that we think is really going to help our audience of coaches, and we just go deep. And today's selection is Atomic Habits by James Clear.
It's a book that I know a lot of people have heard of. It's been out for a little bit. It's very popular, and for good reason.
Yeah. I mean, we've all struggled with habits, right? Mm-hmm. Whether it's our own habits or a client's habits. Mm-hmm. And this book really just breaks it down in a way that I think is super applicable and accessible. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to really kind of go through this book and pull out the gems for our listeners.
Yeah, it's very practical.
Yeah.
I would say.
So where should we start with this? So we jump right into one of the core concepts?
Yeah, let's do it. The foundational concepts is tiny gains.
Okay.
That small changes over time can lead to remarkable results. And he makes this point really clearly by using vivid analogies.
Yeah, I love the British cycling team example.
Yeah.
Where they just made these tiny little improvements over time and then ended up dominating the sport.
Yeah. Yeah. It's incredible what can happen if you just get 1% better each day, or even each week, each month, I mean.
Yeah, and as coaches, I think that's something that we can really help our clients with, is breaking down those big goals into those smaller steps and focusing on those small wins.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's so easy to get discouraged when you're not seeing those big results immediately.
Yeah, it's that plateau of latent potential that he talks about.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Where it feels like you're not making any progress, but actually behind the scenes, things are shifting and changing.
Yeah, like an ice cube melting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It takes a while and then all of a sudden it's gone.
Yeah. Great analogy. And so he says, instead of focusing on goals, focus on your systems.
Okay, so explain that a little bit more. I feel like I've heard that before, but I'm not sure I fully grasped it.
Yeah, so, I think a lot of us have fallen into the trap of being very goal-oriented.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, the goal is just kind of the outcome that you want to achieve. The systems are the things that you actually do every day, the processes that will get you to the goal.
Right. It's like the how, not the what.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So as coaches, how can we help our clients build better systems?
Well, I think one way is just to help them understand the importance of habits and routines.
Okay.
Because really a system is just a collection of habits and routines that are designed to help you achieve a specific outcome.
Right. So it's about identifying those key habits that are going to move them towards their goal and then helping them create a system that supports those habits.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Now, one of the things that I found really fascinating about Atomic Habits is how Clear connects the idea of systems to our identity.
Yeah. He says, your current behaviors are simply a reflection of your current identity.
So it's not just about doing the actions, it's about becoming the kind of person who naturally embodies those actions.
Yeah, he uses the example of if you want to become a reader, you just start thinking of yourself as a reader. And then you're going to be more likely to actually pick up a book and read.
Right. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy almost.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really interesting. I've never thought about it that way before. So as coaches, how can we help our clients shift their identity to support the changes they want to make?
Well, I think one way is to help them become more aware of their self-talk.
Okay.
And to start noticing the language that they're using to describe themselves and their abilities.
Right, because the language we use really shapes our reality, doesn't it?
It really does. And so if someone is constantly saying things like, oh, I'm not good at this, or I'm just not a morning person, they're reinforcing those beliefs.
Right. So it's about helping them reframe those thoughts and start using language that supports their desired identity.
Yeah. And I think another important aspect of identity shift is taking action.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we have to act our way into a new way of thinking.
Right. So it's not just about thinking differently, it's about behaving differently as well. This is so powerful.
Yeah.
I can already see how these concepts can be applied to so many different areas of coaching, whether it's helping clients with their health, their finances, their relationships, or their careers.
Yeah. It's a universal principle.
Absolutely.
So how about we break down the actual science of how habits work?
Okay, let's do it. I know that Clear presents a 4-step model for understanding habit formation. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah. So the first stage is the cue. And the cue is basically a trigger that tells your brain to initiate a behavior.
So it's like a signal that sets the habit in motion.
Exactly. And then the second stage is the craving.
Okay.
And the craving is the motivational force behind the habit. It's the desire to change your internal state.
So for example, if someone is craving a sense of calm, they might reach for a glass of wine or meditate or go for a walk.
Exactly. And then the third stage is the response.
Okay.
And the response is the actual habit itself. It's the action that you take to satisfy the craving.
So in our example, the response could be pouring that glass of wine or sitting down to meditate or putting on your shoes and heading out the door.
Exactly. And then the final stage is the reward.
Okay, and I'm guessing this is where the dopamine comes in.
Yeah. The reward is the end goal of the habit. It's the thing that makes the habit worth repeating.
So the reward for having that glass of wine could be the feeling of relaxation, or the reward for meditating could be the sense of clarity, or the reward for going for a walk could be the endorphin rush.
Exactly. And the reward is what reinforces the entire habit loop. It's what makes you want to do it again and again.
This is so fascinating. It's like a little formula for understanding how our brains work.
Yeah, it is.
As coaches, I think it's so helpful to understand this 4-step model because it allows us to pinpoint where our clients might be getting stuck in the habit loop.
Yeah, absolutely. If someone is struggling to develop a new habit, we can help them identify whether the problem is with the cue, the craving, the response, or the reward. Right? So if they're not getting enough of a reward, for example, we might need to help them find a different way to satisfy that craving or to create a more tangible reward.
Exactly. It's all about understanding the mechanics of habit formation and then using that knowledge to help our clients create lasting change.
This is so helpful. I'm already feeling like I have a much deeper understanding of habits and how they work. Now, I know that Clear also provides a ton of practical strategies for building better habits. Where should we go next with this?
Well, let's talk about one of my favorite tools from the book, the Habit Scorecard.
Okay, I've heard of this. Tell me more about it.
So the Habit Scorecard is basically a way to become more aware of your current habits, both the good and the bad.
Okay. And how do you actually create a habit scorecard?
Clear suggests that you just make a simple list of all the habits that you do on a daily basis. From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed.
Right, like brushing your teeth, taking a shower, eating breakfast, checking email, scrolling social media. Exactly. And then once you have your list, you just go through and mark each habit as good, bad, or neutral.
Okay. And what's the purpose of doing that? What do you do with that information once you have it?
The purpose is just to bring awareness to your current behaviors, because often we're doing things on autopilot without even realizing it.
Like we're sleepwalking through our lives.
Yeah, exactly. And so by taking the time to actually write down our habits and to evaluate them, we can start to make more conscious choices about how we're spending our time and energy.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like holding up a mirror to yourself and really seeing what's there.
Exactly.
So once we've identified our habits, both the good and the bad, what's the next step? How do we start making changes?
Well, one of Clear's key insights is that our environment plays a huge role in shaping our behaviors.
Okay, so it's not just about willpower. It's about setting ourselves up for success.
Yeah, exactly. He calls this making good habits obvious and bad habits invisible.
I love that.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of how this might work in real life?
Yeah, so let's say you want to start eating healthier. One thing you could do is make sure that you always have healthy snacks readily available.
Okay.
Like put a bowl of fruit on the counter or keep pre-cut veggies in the fridge.
Right. So when you're hungry, you're more likely to reach for something healthy.
Exactly. And then on the flip side, you could make unhealthy snacks less visible.
Okay.
Like put those chips and cookies in a cupboard where you can't see them.
So out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly. It's all about making the cues for good habits more obvious and the cues for bad habits less obvious.
I love this. It's such a simple concept, but it's so powerful.
It is.
And I think it's something we can really help our clients with too, is like helping them to create environments that support their desired behaviors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, this is great. I'm already feeling inspired to go home and declutter my kitchen.
Yeah, I think we all could use a little bit of that.
All right. So we've talked about the habit scorecard and the importance of environment design. What other gems can we pull out of Atomic Habits for our listeners?
Well, let's talk about the 2-minute rule.
Okay. This sounds intriguing. Tell me more.
So the 2-minute rule is basically the idea that when you're starting a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do.
Okay, so instead of trying to run a marathon, you're just focusing on putting on your running shoes.
Exactly.
Okay.
Or instead of trying to write a whole book, you're just focusing on writing for 2 minutes.
So it's about breaking down those big goals into those tiny little steps that feel almost too easy to skip.
Exactly.
I love that. It's like removing all the barriers to entry.
Yeah.
And it's about making those initial steps so small that you can't help but succeed.
Yeah. And once you've done it for 2 minutes, you're more likely to keep going.
Right. It's like building momentum.
Exactly.
Okay. This is a game changer.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to start using this with my clients.
Yeah, I think it's a really helpful tool. And, speaking of making things easier, Clear also talks about the importance of habit shaping.
Okay. What's that?
Habit shaping is the idea that you can gradually increase the difficulty or duration of a habit over time.
So it's like starting with those 2-minute workouts and then slowly working your way up to longer, more intense sessions.
Exactly.
Okay. This is making so much sense. I'm already seeing how I can apply these concepts to my own life and to my coaching practice.
Yeah, it's all about making those small incremental changes that add up over time.
Absolutely. Well, this has been an incredible deep dive into atomic habits so far. We've covered a lot of ground, but there's still so much more to explore. When we come back, we'll delve into some of the more advanced strategies from the book and discuss how you can use them to help your clients unlock their full potential. Welcome back, coaches. We're diving deeper into the world of atomic habits and how these concepts can be applied to coaching. Before the break, we were talking about those small wins and how they can build momentum. But I'm curious about the flip side of that. What about when those wins feel few and far between? How do we help our clients stay motivated when they're not seeing those immediate results?
That's where understanding the power of reinforcement comes in. Clear talks about the importance of making good habits satisfying. It's about tapping into that reward system in our brains and finding ways to make those positive behaviors more enjoyable, even if the payoff isn't immediate.
Okay, that makes sense in theory. But how do we actually make those less than thrilling habits, like, say, sticking to a budget or doing taxes, feel rewarding?
One technique Claire suggests is to bundle a habit you want to do with one you need to do. Let's say your client loves listening to podcasts.
Oh, I can relate to that. Sometimes even staring at a blank page can feel paralyzing.
You could suggest they only allow themselves to listen to their favorite show while they're on the treadmill or doing housework.
Ah, I see. It's like turning those mundane tasks into opportunities to indulge in something pleasurable. It's a clever way to reframe those chores as something to look forward to.
Exactly, and it plays on the idea of instant gratification. Instead of waiting for that far-off reward, they get that immediate dopamine hit from doing something they enjoy, which helps reinforce the positive habit.
This is great. It's like tricking your brain into associating those less than fun tasks with something pleasurable. I'm definitely going to try this with my own habits. But what about those habits that are just inherently difficult, no matter how you try to spin them?
Clear addresses this too. He talks about the importance of finding your tribe, surrounding yourself with people who support your goals and values.
The power of community. I've definitely seen firsthand how being part of a supportive group can make a huge difference in staying motivated and accountable.
Exactly. Clear argues that joining a culture where your desired behavior is the norm can have a powerful impact on your habits.
I'm thinking about those running clubs or online communities where people share their fitness journeys. Being part of that group can provide encouragement, support, and a sense of accountability.
Absolutely. And even having just one accountability partner, someone who checks in on your progress and celebrates your wins with you, can make a world of difference.
Speaking of accountability, one of the strategies Clear suggests is creating a habit contract. Can you tell us more about that?
A habit contract is essentially a written agreement with yourself, outlining your desired habit, your plan for implementing it, and the potential consequences for not following through.
So it's like making a deal with yourself, but with a little extra oomph to make it stick.
Exactly. And Clear suggests making the contract public, sharing it with a friend or accountability partner to further increase your commitment.
That's a great idea. Knowing that someone else is aware of your goals and is holding you accountable can be incredibly motivating.
It's a powerful way to leverage social pressure to your advantage. And it can also be incredibly rewarding to celebrate your successes with someone who understands your journey.
Now, I want to touch on something we discussed earlier, the role of identity in habit formation. Clear argues that our behaviors often reflect our deepest beliefs about who we are. But what happens when those beliefs are holding us back?
That's where the concept of challenging limiting beliefs comes in. As coaches, we need to help our clients identify those negative thought patterns that might be sabotaging their efforts.
So it's not just about changing behaviors. It's about shifting those underlying beliefs that are driving those behaviors.
Exactly. If someone believes they're not good at math, for example, they're less likely to put in the effort to improve their skills.
I see. So it's about helping them challenge those limiting beliefs and replace them with more empowering ones. Like instead of saying, I'm not good at math, they could say, I'm willing to learn and improve my math skills.
Exactly. It's about shifting from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, embracing challenges as opportunities for learning and development.
This is such a crucial insight for coaches. We need to help our client cultivate that belief in their own capacity for growth and change.
And one of the best ways to do that is to focus on progress, not perfection. It's about celebrating those small wins and acknowledging the effort, even when the results aren't immediately visible.
This is so powerful. It's a reminder that lasting change takes time and effort, and that setbacks are all part of the journey.
Absolutely. And as coaches, we can play a vital role in guiding our clients through those inevitable ups and downs, helping them develop the resilience and self-compassion to keep moving forward even when it gets tough.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this segment. We've talked about the importance of making good habits satisfying, finding your tribe, creating a habit contract, and challenging those limiting beliefs.
We've also explored the power of progress over perfection and the importance of celebrating those small wins along the way.
Now, as we head into the final part of our deep dive, I'm wondering about the long game. How do we help our clients not only achieve their goals, but also sustain those changes over the long haul?
That's a great question, and it's something we'll delve into after the break. We'll explore some of the more nuanced aspects of atomic habits and how you can use these insights to create lasting transformation in your clients' lives. Stay tuned.
We're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into atomic habits. I'm so excited to hear more about how we can help our clients create lasting change.
It's all about building those systems that support long-term success. One of the key concepts Clear emphasizes is the idea of making those good habits easy and the bad habits difficult.
That sounds intuitive, but I'd love to hear more about how we can put this into practice.
Think about your environment. It can either work for you or against you. Let's say your client wants to reduce their screen time.
A common goal these days, for sure.
You could suggest they create a phone-free zone in their bedroom or put their phone in a drawer when they're working.
It's about removing those temptations and making it easier to choose the desired behavior.
Exactly. And on the flip side, you can make those bad habits less appealing. If your client is trying to cut back on sugary drinks, for example, they could move those sodas to the back of the fridge and replace them with a picture of infused water right in front.
It's like setting up those little nudges throughout your day to make the healthy choice the easy choice.
Now, another powerful strategy Clear talks about is the idea of habit stacking. This involves linking a new habit to an existing one.
So it's like piggybacking on a behavior you're already doing consistently.
Exactly. For example, if your client already has a solid morning routine, they could add a 5-minute meditation practice right after they brush their teeth.
I love that. It's like creating a chain reaction of positive behaviors.
And as those habits become linked, they start to reinforce each other, creating a powerful system for change.
This is brilliant. It's like creating a domino effect of good habits. I'm already brainstorming ways to implement this with my clients.
Now, as we wrap up our deep dive into atomic habits, I want to emphasize one final point that Clear makes. He talks about the importance of embracing the boredom of mastery.
Boredom. That doesn't sound very inspiring.
I know, but hear me out. Clear argues that true mastery requires falling in love with the process, the repetition, the discipline that ultimately leads to excellence.
So it's not about chasing those quick fixes or expecting overnight transformations. It's about showing up consistently, even when it's not glamorous or exciting.
Exactly. It's about finding joy in the journey, the small wins, the setbacks, the lessons learned along the way.
And as coaches, we can help our clients cultivate this mindset, this appreciation for the process of growth and transformation.
Absolutely. We can encourage them to embrace the challenges, to celebrate their progress, and to remember that lasting change is a marathon, not a sprint.
This has been an incredible deep dive into atomic habits. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of habit formation and a wealth of strategies to share with my clients.
It's been a pleasure exploring these concepts with you. Remember, as coaches, you have the power to guide your clients towards lasting change. By helping them understand and harness the power of atomic habits, you can empower them to achieve incredible things one small step at a time.
So as you go out into the world, we encourage you to reflect on this question. How can you apply the principles of atomic habits to create a ripple effect of positive change in your coaching practice and the lives of your clients?
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep making a difference.
We're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into atomic habits. I'm so excited to hear more about how we can help our clients create lasting change.
It's all about building those systems that support long-term success. One of the key concepts Clear emphasizes is the idea of making those good habits easy and the bad habits difficult.
That sounds intuitive, but I'd love to hear more about how we can put this into practice.
Think about your environment. It can either work for you or against you. Let's say your client wants to reduce their screen time.
A common goal these days, for sure.
You could suggest they create a phone-free zone in their bedroom or put their phone in a drawer when they're working.
It's about removing those temptations and making it easier to choose the desired behavior.
Exactly. And on the flip side, you can make those bad habits less appealing. If your client is trying to cut back on sugary drinks, for example, they could move those sodas to the back of the fridge and replace them with a picture of infused water right in front.
It's like setting up those little nudges throughout your day to make the healthy choice the easy choice.
Now, another powerful strategy Clear talks about is the idea of habit stacking. This involves linking a new habit to an existing one.
So it's like piggybacking on a behavior you're already doing consistently.
Exactly. For example, if your client already has a solid morning routine, they could add a 5-minute meditation practice right after they brush their teeth.
I love that. It's like creating a chain reaction of positive behaviors.
And as those habits become linked, they start to reinforce each other, creating a powerful system for change.
This is brilliant. It's like creating a domino effect of good habits. I'm already brainstorming ways to implement this with my clients.
Now, as we wrap up our deep dive into atomic habits, I want to emphasize one final point that Clear makes. He talks about the importance of embracing the boredom of mastery.
Boredom. That doesn't sound very inspiring.
I know, but hear me out. Clear argues that true mastery requires falling in love with the process, the repetition, the discipline that ultimately leads to excellence.
So it's not about chasing those quick fixes or expecting overnight transformations. It's about showing up consistently, even when it's not glamorous or exciting.
Exactly. It's about finding joy in the journey, the small wins, the setbacks, the lessons learned along the way.
And as coaches, we can help our clients cultivate this mindset, this appreciation for the process of growth and transformation.
Absolutely. We can encourage them to embrace the challenges, to celebrate their progress, and to remember that lasting change is a marathon, not a sprint.
This has been an incredible deep dive into atomic habits. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of habit formation and a wealth of strategies to share with my clients.
It's been a pleasure exploring these concepts with you. Remember, as coaches, you have the power to guide your clients toward lasting change. By helping them understand and harness the power of atomic habits, you can empower them to achieve incredible things one small step at a time.
So as you go out into the world, we encourage you to reflect on this question. How can you apply the principles of atomic habits to create a ripple effect of positive change in your coaching practice and in the lives of your clients? And with that, we'll wrap up this episode. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into a book we think will help you level up your coaching skills. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep making a difference.